Greetings to all of our viewers from across the US, Nigeria, and other countries around the world. Thank you so much for joining our session today. Such a time as this, current issues facing Igbos and our nation, Nigeria. My name is Amaka Nwafor. I am currently going to be your host. I will be moderating this discussion panel. Joining me today, we have three panelists from different experiences and expertises, and we will be asking them various questions regarding their area of expertise as it pertains to current issues in Nigeria. During this time, I will be asking our panelists a series of questions, and I will also be looking in the chat for you guys, our audience, to ask questions. What I'm hoping is that you guys ask questions all throughout this time, and I will review, and I will save those questions for you to either ask the panelist speaker yourself, we will unmute you, and you can be able to ask the panelists, or I will just simply read the question and credit the person that asked the question. So our first panelist today is an individual with truly an impressive, such an impressive professional background in microbiology and biotechnology, with many, many published works and research, working with some amazing, well-known organizations like World Health Organization. Now, Dr. Anthony Ejiofor is also known for his extensive community work. Until 2015, Dr. Ejiofor served as the executive director of the well-known and prestigious World Igbo Congress. Much of Dr. Ejiofor's community work presently involves addressing the economic and cultural issues affecting Igbo people back home today. Good morning to you, Dr. Ejiofor. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad to have you here.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Amaka. Thank you, everyone, for having me here.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure we are all set. Sounds good. So before we start, before I ask you my first question, one of the things that we do here at Igbo Unite is we have many people who are from the diaspora, that are born in the diaspora and that were born back home. So one of the things that we do is we connect people that, especially that were born in the diaspora, we try to focus and have them connect with back where they are from back home. So we always ask people, where are you from in Igbo land? Where is your village from? Who are your people? Especially, so that we can be able to create this connection. So I will go first. I am from Ogwa Village in Batoli local government area in Imo State. Dr. Ejiofor, where are you from?
I am from Omunya, Oyi local government area of Anambra State.
Very nice, Anambra State. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we will presently start on our first question. So this is a kind of a bit of a long question. So historically, we know economically, Igbos, we have learned to adapt regardless of the times and how things have changed. We were agriculturalists, we were tradesmen, very business savvy, so on and so forth. But today, we are in a different time and things are changing, but we've learned to adjust. And right now we have so much human capital coming from Igbo land, and yet a lot of our areas that are well developed, it's not Igbo land. It is actually the major cities, such as Abuja, such as Lagos. And this is serving to be a bit problematic for our people. So my question to you would be, what economic policies do you see right now, or what economic issues is affecting us? What are the main things that are affecting us right now in Igbo land?
Thank you very much, Amaka, once again, and I also extend my greetings to Kingsley Ufere, who has been communicating with me like you. I must say that the theme of this conference is very unique. Ha Hu Anyi. I have seen you all, and for me to see you and acknowledge that I've seen you means quite a bit, because there has always been some kind of disconnect between the older generation and newer generation. So one of the major things I hope to achieve here is be able to connect with the younger ones for the problems ahead. I will also want to say, give a shout out to Peace Hamadi for her accelerating presentation
Yes.
I like to start from there by saying that Igbo people are going through very serious mental torture at this time. And at some point I'll connect with her so we can do some kind of mental analysis of our circumstances. Your question is really very big. And yes, we are entrepreneurial. We are very tenacious. We are itinerant. We go everywhere in the world. You find us there. And we do very well wherever we go. But our problem has been what I call the contraption called Nigeria. That has been our problem. You know that Nigeria has been there for over 100 years. It was an experiment intended to last for 100 years. It's beyond that. And we have a tinkered constitution that has put us in a place where we are uncomfortable, a place where our potentials are sat on. We cannot go beyond what Nigeria wants us to be. So the setup is not good. One of the greatest challenges we have today is the challenge of security. Security of land, lives and property. That has been a very serious issue. And the fear of Fulanization and Islamization of Igbo land. You asked for economic plans. Oh yeah, we do. As soon as I finish with this meeting, I am going into another meeting for a Igbo Stabilization Fund. I happen to be the chairman of one of the committees responsible for sustainability of what we plan. We have a huge plan to make sure that Igbo land, now that we have been abandoned, I can put it that way, that we've been abandoned by Nigeria and even hounded by AK-47 carrying Fulani people. But we have to take our own future into our hands. The future of us, our generation, the future of our younger ones like you. Someday you want to come back, because even as here that we are, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. We're not that comfortable in the United States, considering the policies and what goes on in the society and so on. It affects us directly. So someday you want to go, and we want to make sure that we hand over to you some setup, some system that you can make sense out of. And that comes to structure of Igbo land, the investment climate in Igbo land, governance of Igbo land within or without Nigeria, and of course, sustainability. If we start anything today, how long is it going to last? We don't want to start something that will collapse next year. We want something that will go on from generation to generation, so that your generation will come in and have something to hand over to generations coming behind you. So we want to make sure that generations behind us will find us faithful.
Thank you. I have a question from one of the individuals in the chat. If you would give me one moment. All right, so my next question to you would be, so you have mentioned quite a few things. Yes, we are definitely aware that we have so many issues going on in Nigeria. So that would be things such as security, which is what you have mentioned. The corruption is a huge issue, and as well as infrastructure. So what do you think, now having known that these are just constant issues that will be here for quite some time, what do you think now will be our very first, what are the most first important critical steps?
Thank you very much. You mentioned infrastructure. Again, I'd like to take us back to, I saw one of the questions. I also enjoyed your Kahoots or something like that. I saw one of those questions about when the Civil War ended. You know, we had a Civil War 3 years, Biafra, and so on. And the reason we went to war is because of marginalization and oppression. That was why the Igbo people came back from all parts of Nigeria into Eastern Nigeria that eventually became Biafra. And we were promised after the end of the war that they will have reconstruction, reconciliation, rehabilitation. All those were promises that never saw the light of day. Pipe dreams, I call them. And since then, the place we call our homeland has been cheated in every sphere of attention. No federal presence, what is salt in Igbo land. So we have complained and complained and complained, talked about marginalization and so on. But that's why I said something. I said, our fate, our future is in our hands. And that is what this Igbo Stabilization Fund has set out to do. I had wanted to bring in someone who would talk to us about wealth creation, which will help our diaspora young ones to key into what we are planning. It is huge because we're talking about the infrastructure you mentioned, power generation, transport, which includes railroad, the seaport, functional seaport, which will mean dredging and all that. Gas utilization, we have a whole lot of gas reserves and so on. All this we want to put together and be able to put that our entrepreneurial ingenuity into creating wealth, our own financial institutions, so that we'll be able to capture some of these remittances we make. We should be able to capture some of the commissions that come with it. There are so many things in this package that we are looking at, and I know that the very best of Igbo brains are involved in this. We want to see it happen, and we want to sustain it, Nigeria or not Nigeria.
So from what it sounds like, from what I'm hearing from you, is that it looks like from this organization that you've mentioned, Ala Igbo, and even if Ala Igbo did not exist, it seems like you have the thought process that a lot of this needs to be initiated by those that are in diaspora. So now, how do we empower those who are back home? What kind of economic demands can they make of the government if there is something that they can do?
Thank you very much, and I apologize if I made it look like it's a diaspora program. Ala Igbo Stabilization Fund was set up by the governors in conjunction with Ohanes and Igbo. They came together after we put pressure upon pressure. Look at what's happening in the West. They have this thing they call Amotekun, and their governors are involved. In fact, the blueprint for Amotekun activity is actually from an organization, Association of Southeast Town Unions. But then their governors in the West supported, and they will be putting pressure on our own governors to be our stewards. That we expected them to do things, in as much as they are the chief security officers and the governors, they still have a responsibility to take care of our people. And then they came up with this instead of developing something like Amotekun. They came up with this, and it's a very great idea to muster all the resources that we have, human and material resources at home and in the diaspora. I mentioned there are 4 committees. Out of these 4 committees, 3 of the chairpersons are from Nigeria. I'm the only one from outside in the 4th committee, making sure that whatever we put in place will be sustainable. And as far as I'm concerned, that's why I said, Ha Hu Anyi, that I have seen you, and I'm very sure that I'll come back to you and make sure that you play a major role in what the diaspora Igbo are expected to do.
Thank you, thank you. Our next question is actually from Amaka. Amaka is actually one of the main organizers of Igbo Unite. So his question is, how do we hold our governors, senators, rep members accountable given what is happening with the NDDC?
Have to hold them accountable. That has been our major problem. Remember when I said we put in pressure upon pressure upon, somehow these governors don't feel they owe us anything. Why did I say that? Because of the route by which they got to their positions. Some of them actually got into their positions from Sokoto, from the Caliphate. Some got there from powers that be in Nigeria, not from votes from our people. Sometimes you vote and your vote it comes out the other way. And so they don't have to owe us anything. And their activities or their actions speak to that they owe allegiance to somebody, not to their people. And that has been a problem to us. We'll continue to mount pressure. If this Ala Igbo Stabilization Fund takes off, all of you here and other people, once we key in, we can take the reins of governance in Nigeria, in Ala Igbo. we can take over the reins of putting people as local government chairpersons, commissioners, governors, and so on, so that when we call them, they listen. They will know that the people elected them to get into that position. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My next question is actually from Daniel Buijie. I'm so sorry if I am not pronouncing your last name correctly. I need a lot of work on my Igbo, please bear with me. So Daniel's question is, Dr. Ejiofor is right about structure. Right people, we need right structure, we need the right people that are Igbo to speak for us. Good communication messages, like communication skills for our people who can communicate well and represent us well. We truly, also rather, this is a comment. So he's saying that we truly need a new design which must be consistent in all matters, and they must follow it to the letter of the law. So basically he's speaking to needing more, we just need better representation, better leaders who we can hold accountable that will actually represent the people, represent our people back home.
That's our major objective, to make sure that we play a role in putting people in place where they work for us, not we working for them. And all the nepotism, all the favoritism, all the, just name it. We are sick and tired of that. We want to change things. And the mindset I see here in this forum is what we need to change things at home. The first time I started speaking to you guys, I used the term, those who will take over from us. We are getting there, and you are coming right behind us. We want to make sure that the right people are in place so that when we move on, we have people who will take the message to where it should be. We need that. And by the way, talking about communication, I did mention to you all also that World Igbo Congress is going places. All the continents of this world, we have mobilized Igbo people. And we say in the next 2 weeks, we are going to float a new website, which will be a one-stop center for all Igbo people in the diaspora. And that will help us to mobilize. That will help us to begin to plan and on how to put people in the right places. That's what that's about.
Very nice. My next question to you is actually from Ijeoma Okoli. She is also the co-CEO for Igbo Unite. So her question is, what are your thoughts on unifying the exchange rate? Is it proper for CBN to continue spending money defending the naira, or should they let it float to find its proper value?
Nigeria defies all kinds of financial regulations, financial laws. So it's difficult to, I was speaking with the one-time Minister of Finance and coordinator of financial management in Nigeria, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, a few days ago.
Yes.
And, this is one of the things that came up. Nigeria is chaotic at this time. It's I believe it's better as a microbiologist, speaking as a microbiologist though, to let the naira find its level, because none of the regulations we have put in place have worked so far, and we don't see any consolidated effort, real effort to make things happen beyond the sharing of oil money and so on, which is almost drying up. So it's all part of what we have packaged. That's why I talked about investment and sustainability in the new dispensation. We have people, bankers and all that, who are heading that other department and who will make sure that we have the right exchange at the right time.
All right, thank you. So my next question, and this has been an issue, or this has come up often amongst Igbo circles, amongst Nigerian circles really, this phenomena of China. So what do you think about Nigeria and so many other African countries as well? But we are here talking about Igbos and how it affects us. So what do we think about Nigeria and Nigeria's practice of borrowing so much money from China? And in Nigeria's case, it's even ceding some of Nigeria's, like we're ceding some of our sovereignty to China. And that is what will happen, it looks like, if we are not able to pay them back. So what are your thoughts on this? What can In what ways do you think that this is affecting Igbos most in Igbo land? And what do we do to protect ourselves, if there's anything that we can do at all?
It's affecting us a lot. You remember at some point I said, I'm hoping that those who come in behind us will find us faithful. Living dead for them is not a way of making them find us faithful. We have cheated them out of their own lives and out of their easy life. China is a case in point. They cheat everywhere they go. And we talk about, what do I call it now? Racial slurs, racial things, and so on. China is a big criminal in that. Way they do, if you know people who live in China, you know that they really don't love us. All they are looking for is to grab. You know, recently, the China Exim Bank was supposed to lend money to Nigeria. And Nigeria is just borrowing. There are two reasons why they are borrowing. One, to line their pockets. Two, to develop infrastructure in northern Nigeria so that and connect them with other parts of like Niger, Chad, and so on, so that if there happens to be a breakup in Nigeria tomorrow, they will be fine. But for us, we'll be in trouble. It affects us because that money is not being spent in Igbo land. Look at the railroad. The one for Eastern Line is cut off completely, and we don't have any structures in place. So we are trying to build from the scratch. That is what this Alliable Strategic Stabilization Fund is about. We want to build from the scratch. Forget about Nigeria, forget about what they are doing to us, forget about complaining. We want to get our hands and feet wet to make our place viable. That's what it's about.
So it would seem that what you are saying, and this is a very interesting analysis, it would seem that China has basically, they've become our new colonizers of sorts, at least economically. They have replaced Great Britain because, you know, the UK at the time, years ago, were the ones that had kind of created this dynamic of choosing others and pitting others against each other tribally. Is that what you would say is happening right now? Is that what we're seeing unfurl?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Please bear with me. I lost our next question. All right. So let's say we don't go the route. I mean, let's say we still continue to work towards the unification of Nigeria. Let's say in a perfect world, we can be, we can be able to work towards this. How can we be able to relate with the other ethnic groups to achieve our vision? What do we need to do to be able to relate with them and to have them see that Igbo land being developed and doing well is actually a win for all of Nigeria? How would we be able to go about this?
All right, you know that, as the way you put it, Igbo people have been, number one, in pursuance of unity for Nigeria. Think about the independence. Think about the fact that we go everywhere, regardless of the state boundaries. And we buy, we develop, we move goods and services to all parts of Nigeria. Yet, it is not appreciated. Instead, we pay with marginalization. We pay with being starved of all federal activities in our land. We pay with people killing our people. Just the other day, it's not just in Nigeria, anywhere that we go. Just the other day, I was dealing with the issue of Ghana. Igbo people in Ghana, they are facing all kinds of tribulations also. Especially they've come between the crossfire of Ga people in Accra and Ashanti people in Kumasi. You know, so, and we went into that to try to solve that problem. I tell you quite frankly, until we are able to provide an economically viable environment in Igbo land, our problems will continue. They will never appreciate us. And so we have to, that's what I meant when I said we take our future into our hands. We develop the place, make it viable, make it so that people can, our young ones can come home and do business. If you need spare parts, instead of us taking it to you in Lagos or Abuja or anywhere, come to Igbo land and buy it. And that will also provide domino effect. You know, when you buy something, just like we're trying to put money in the pockets of people, when the money gets in their pocket, they buy something, economy rises. So when they come to our place and buy those things, it will boost the economy there. And that is why we want to develop our land. This is why we need you to come and help do what needs to be done so that our place becomes viable. If we wait for them to do it for us or to recognize the sacrifices we are making, it will never come. We've spent more than 100 years trying to make them see that.
Thank you. So, Dr. Ejiofor, I am actually going to have one of the participants ask you a question. So from Oli, I believe, O-L-I-Y, if we can unmute him, he had a question for Dr. Ejiofor regarding infrastructure. Elisa, rather. Elisa is based in the UK. So Elisa, if you have been unmuted, would you mind asking your question to Dr. Ejiofor?
Doc, thanks so much for giving us an insight about what is going on in Nigeria. Since I was a kid, I've been hearing about infrastructure development, South is gonna develop, blah, blah, blah. I'm an adult now, nothing has really happened. What strategies do we have? We see our people, when they graduate, they go to Abuja, they go to Lagos looking for jobs. Most multinational firms have their headquarters there, you know? So what can we do to develop the Southeast and get all these multinationals have their headquarters in Southeast, you know? I think that would mean that should be the first strategy, I believe, if we really want to develop the Southeast, because headquarters are where things are made, decisions are made, you know. Lagos is even congested. So what are we gonna do? Some of us, we wanna come back home and develop our country, but we don't have strategy. All the politicians, they talk, no action.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. Let me tell you before the war.
Dr. Ejiofor, I'm so sorry. Let me, so just also to let me kind of condense his question a little bit, because there were some really key points that I want to make sure that we do hit on. So one of his questions was about multinational firms in Nigeria. Their head offices are in Lagos and Abuja. So what can we do in Igbo land to get these multinational firms? What can we do to bring them back towards Igbo land? What incentives? What can we have them do so that we can be able to, that will be able to assist in improving the economy of our land? So sorry.
Thank you very much. I wanted to draw attention to the nostalgic feelings we have about, at some point we had an American consulate in Enugu, and people wouldn't have to go to Abuja, go to Lagos, or go anywhere to get the American visa. But it's all part of what we said about the war we lost. Please always key it into that. And two, the unfortunate situation in which, even though they said reconciliation, reconstruction, and rehabilitation, that they have consistently and systematically emasculated the East by not having any federal presence in the East. And that's exactly what I was speaking about when I talked about a Igbo stabilization fund. Infrastructure that you have been hearing in the past was always tied with the governments. And we have said what the problem is with the various governments, both at the federal level and at the state level. The project we have on hand now is looking at development of infrastructure, development of stakeholder levels, development of financial institutions that will support the program we have, essentially as a private sector driven activity. In the past, there will be government-driven activity. At the end of the day, it ends up, another government comes and begins something else. So now we are making it a private sector-driven entity. And of course, you know that you cannot come and function in Igbo without at least the knowledge of those governors that we have kind of said have their allegiance somewhere. But that means in order to clip them, in order to hedge them, we'll just give them like shares in what we are doing. So it's no longer government activity, it's privately sector driven with little ownership from government. In that way, it will have a mind of its own and be able to do those infrastructure you're talking about. Is that we have prioritized them, and we know that power, we know that, I listed them, fiber technology for high-speed internet, and they're all important, and they're all things we are targeting. Roads, railroad, and what else? These are the, like I said, we are prioritizing them. It's going to happen between now and next year when the plan is concretized. We'll get funding from outside, and we'll get international entrepreneurs to come establish in Igbo. That is our objective. We will have industrial belts all over the place covering all aspects of industry. Food, for example, agriculture is a major area that we have fertile land. The marauders, we call herdsmen, are stampeding and destroying everything, and then now people are not able to manufacture. So if you go to Abakaliki Bonny area, if you go to Ayamelum area in Anambra / Enugu State, all of them are areas we can carry out heavy duty agriculture to support our people, feed them so they come home and be able to. And then the other aspect is this security, which is part of our number one. Security is an important issue. Nobody is coming to invest or establish in your area if they don't feel secure. So we are investing in that too, as far as this project is concerned. I thank you. I hear you very clearly, and your pain is mine. We'll do our best to ease ourselves of that pain.
Thank you, Dr. Ejiofor. My next question will be coming from Oluchi. So Oluchi, if we can have someone please unmute her so that she can be able to speak directly to Dr. Ejiofor and ask her question.
Thank you. My question is really about the devaluation of the naira. It's difficult to invest in a country that's constantly devaluing its currency. So what's the plan in regards to ensuring that investors get a decent, I guess, return? Or what is the plan in terms of preserving the currency itself, given that the country is constantly devaluing its currency?
I tell you, that's a disaster. I just mentioned to you, I spoke with Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and that is within the Nigerian context. I tell you, quite frankly, my focus is in Igbo, because we have no control over where the naira stays, because we are not doing anything, manufacturing and so on, to induce fidelity in people who are coming to invest in Nigeria. And that's why the naira keeps tumbling. All the money we are generating from oil, we are not divesting it into other sectors. So that is difficult to a difficult thing to say. So if you ask me, I lost hope with control of the naira. I also was, Professor Chukwu Masoludo. We have a little group that we are trying to put together about funding activities in the East. He was governor of Central Bank, and he's disillusioned about this. So let me concentrate now on Igbo land and what we are planning for Igbo land, and leave Nigeria alone. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is actually going to come from Elijah, actually. Elijah is, if we can have him unmuted, he's going to ask you a question quickly. And after that, we will go to Nubia Ogwefi. We will unmute her next, him or her next. And I think that will be it for our questions to you. All right, Elijah.
Yes, my question is with regards to politics. It's something that worries me that every time close to election period, it's either we have people calling for boycotts or sit at homes and stuff like that. And they say politics is local. So if we don't work together, choose our leaders from at the lowest levels of politics, local government, House of Reps, Senate, even governors, how are we going to make this impact? Yes, we can do stuff on our own, but federal presence and government presence is the surest means to raise funds and drive development in the East. Do you have any thought on this?
Yeah, I think I did address that earlier. It's our concern also, and that is why we are trying to make sure, excuse me there, one moment, the other meeting is about to start and they're trying to get me.
Okay.
The meeting of, I'm really sorry about that. This is why we are coming to you. It's difficult at this point to really say, put people where we want them to be. We don't have that opportunity to put them where we want them to be. So we can start now by building for the future. If the younger generation who understand what it means to serve and be served come into a position where we can plug them in, and tomorrow, if there's going to be an election, we know the person to put in there. And if we put people there, we can then have the right to hold their feet to the fire. Right now, we don't have that right to hold their feet to the fire, and that is why they are doing anything, and we are suffering for that. Okay.
All right. So our last question will be from Nubia Obwefi. Please, if you can ask your question quickly, Dr. Ejiofor has another engagement coming, and we want to send him on his way.
Okay. My name is Nubia. Hi. My question is, with what you've talked about this project, did you have like a time frame, or would it be something that will be achieved within a decade, 2 decades, less than that? And is there like a plan for each year, or are we going to keep discussing this every conference or Imu something we come? That's it.
Good question. Like I mentioned, there are 4 groups. The structure, which I have given you a hint of that structure. We have the investment group, which takes into account all the questions you have asked, including the guy from Britain who asked a question about investment and all that. We also talk about the governance structure, which we are putting in place. And at the end of the day, if we put all this in place and they collapse the next year, of what value is it? Therefore, my group is dealing with sustainability. And sustainability, we are not thinking of something that will end in a decade. We are thinking of something that will run into decades, so that when you all inherit it, you're able to give it to people coming behind you. So the timeline, I did mention at some point, by this time next year, everything should be in place for that to fully take up. We are phasing it out, first year, second year, third year, and so on. There are phases 1, 2, 3, 4, to ensure that we go methodically, to ensure that we really prepare before we step out, not just to put something like in our place. You can set up a university by this decision before even you find the building where the university will be housed. Here, sometimes to start a university might take 10 years to plan. So for us, we want to make sure we are methodical about it, and we plan it in such a manner that there will be fidelity in it. And of course, anybody who invests in it can be sure of return on investment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ejiofor. Before we have you go, would you be able to provide us with any information? Is there a website by any chance for Ala Igbo? You mean the Ala Igbo Stabilization Fund? Correct. Yeah, the one I'm talking about? Correct. Yeah, right now we do have a website, but it's being used by the 4 groups to put this in. I don't think it's been launched for public consumption yet, but as soon as it is launched, I'm in touch with you. I'm in touch with Kinsley, and I should be able to share that. And let me finally ask you, ensure that you link up with World Igbo Congress. And yes. As I mentioned, I am looking forward to a situation where I have the opportunity to let you all know what I'm thinking about your generation and wealth building. As far as I'm concerned, if the young ones have the wealth we need, they will have serious punch. I agree. Yeah. Dr. Ejiofor, thank you so much for giving us your time. We know that you're a very busy man. We really appreciate your knowledge and your wisdom, and thank you for blessing us. Have a fantastic day.
Dawa, thank you so much. Dawa, so. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right, everyone. I hope everyone has enjoyed that economic conversation. We went into a lot of different things. And it's, you know, it's difficult to be able to talk about economics without talking about politics. As you guys have seen, there's a lot of different things going on with Nigeria as it pertains to Igbo land. But we remain hopeful and steadfast. And we pray that things will only get better because there's nowhere else to go but up. But it does definitely include, it includes and it needs to involve so many of us, those of us that are in diaspora, as well as those of you that are back home. And by God's grace, we will get there. So I'm going to introduce our next panelist speaker. Our next panelist speaker is Barrister Esther Uzoma. So Barrister Esther Uzoma is a human rights activist and a lawyer. She is based in Nigeria. She's the National Coordinator for Proactive Gender Initiatives, which is an NGO that protects and advocates for the rights of women, children, and vulnerable persons. She is the co-convener of the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, which is an umbrella body for the NGOs in Nigeria. She's also the principal partner at Heptagon and Associates Law Firm, where she has been a pioneer in utilizing dynamic methods for the enforcement of human rights for all. So, Barrister Uzoma is an amazing lawyer and truly a strong advocate for those who are in need. Welcome, Barrister Uzoma. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Jane.
Thank you. So, as I had mentioned earlier beforehand, one of the important things that we like to do is we like to ask everyone where they are from Igbo land, because we like to be able to create that connection, remember that connection from where we are from. As I mentioned to everyone, I am from Ogwa village, in Bitoli local area government in Imo State. So Barrister, where are you from?
I'm from Angara, Isiala Mbano, in Imo State. But I live and practice in Abuja. Yes.
Thank you. So now, before I ask you your first question, I just would like to have everyone know that I am presenting a trigger warning right now. This topic that we are going to discuss is a very sensitive topic, and it will essentially be discussing rape culture in Nigeria. So it is very important that if this is going to be a triggering conversation, that you take the time to step away or put this on mute until we have finished having our conversation with Barrister Uzoma. Again, this is a conversation about rape culture, so this is a trigger warning for everyone, so that we are sensitive to those who this conversation might be triggering to. So, Barrister, so you have done a lot of advocacy work for years now. And you had mentioned before, and this seems to be something that we've been seeing, all of us have been paying attention to the news. And it would seem that during COVID-19, it would seem that, rape has spiked a bit. Is that the case? What do you think is the cause of this? Let's start with those two questions.
Rape, in all my years, 20 years and counting, of active, vibrant law practice and gender activism, I have never seen or received so many complaints of incestuous rape, incest, particularly as we are seeing it during this period. Also, taking it from our perspective, I've also never seen the rape of old women, aged women. When old women go to their farms from Nsukka to Okigwe, and they are raped by herdsmen. First we were calling them Fulani herdsmen, then we started calling them herdsmen, and now we are calling them bandits. I have never seen it before. And when you look at rape, remember, it's what you meet out on the conquered people. When you conquer a people, what do? you rape their women. Historically, this is the sequence. Rape their women and take their girls as wives. And so our women in Igbo, they now go to their farms in batches. And even when they do that, they still become victims of rape. 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, and who is raping them? The so-called bandits, the ones who are calling Fulani herdsmen. They have metamorphosed. And the Nigerian media has given them a new name. They are now to a conquered people. And that is where we are. And what is the reason for this? So many things are happening now. The power dynamics in Nigeria is shifting so much. And we all know that the Igbos are the marginalized group. In the power dynamics, we do not control the structures of violence. State-controlled violence, for instance, I'm talking about the army, I'm talking about the police, the Navy, Air Force. Where do you find the Igbo man? None. All these agencies of state I have mentioned are controlled by mainly the Northeast, and it's just one person from the West. And so you find that the Igbo man, because of lack of access to state structure for security, is again left at the mercies of who Dr. Ejiofor called Marudas. But remember, one of the symbols, punishments you meet to a conquered people is you rape their women and take their young girls as wives. This is happening in Igbo. And the reason for me is political. I so submit.
So from what I'm hearing you say, it would almost seem like, and this ties into this general conversation about present issues in Igbo land, it would almost seem like that this may be a systematic takeover of Igbo land by starting with our women and our children. Would that be a far-fetched statement to make?
No, that is it. It's a systematic takeover of Igbo land. A systematic takeover of even some indigenous lands in the north here. Systematic takeover of lands in Plateau, systematic takeover of lands in Kaduna, systematic takeover, of course, lands in Igbo. Look at what just happened recently. The women of Kaduna, all the women in southern Kaduna, the ones that are not the indigenous people of northern southern Kaduna, what did they do? Imagine a group of over 100 women who are naked and walking on the streets. Just picture for a moment. And I'm telling you, women who are 100 years old and over, 80, 70, 30, all age groups. And imagine where you see a crowd of just naked women walking the streets in protest. And so this systematic takeover is happening in Igbo land, yes. It's also happening in Kaduna. It's happening in Plateau State. It's happening in Adamawa. All right? This is the state of affairs right now. And you see, when women take off their clothes, there's so much, it signifies so much.
Correct.
It's yes. And well, that's the story for another day. But this is what is happening. It's a systematic takeover. The question is, what are we doing about it? I congratulate the organizers of Igbo United. I also congratulate the organizers of this Zoom meeting. What are we going to do? Because consistently we see, from all indications, we must create for ourselves a place where we can be, where we can express ourselves, bring the best brains to bear in constructive change of our society. We must do that for ourselves. Because let me tell you, if we keep looking to the country Nigeria to change the fortunes of the Igbo man, then there is no salvation in Nigeria. Let me say that. There is no salvation in Nigeria. We must begin economically first, focus and develop our lands. All across Nigeria, you see Igbo wealth, Igbo men. They're very. We make things happen.
Correct.
The Igbos, and I'm proud to be an Igbo woman. We turn water into wine.
Correct.
All right. We really make paradise. Yes. We live, that's our heritage.
Yes.
But it is time. The Igbos have a famous saying, "Akurulo," bring wealth back home.
Yes.
So the preaching today, this is the era of Akurulo. You must bring it back home. That is why Igbo United is very, 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 very important. Because first of all, you have to organize, in thoughts and then in action. All right. So much is happening in this country, but we must. If we look onto Nigeria, then there's no salvation in Nigeria for the Igbo man, both in Nigeria and in diaspora.
Thank you. So my next question would be, we know that, like you have mentioned, our salvation lies in the economic. Eventually, we need to bring money back home. That is what we need to do. We need to be able to become stronger on our own, so that if secession is what happens, then we are ready for it. Or if it will allow us to be able to leverage some more, offer some leverage in order to be able to be bigger players in the political landscape. So until we are able to achieve that, what can we do right now at this moment to protect our women? What our women and our children, what can we do right now for these farm workers that are going out to simply work and they can't do so safely? What are we able to do?
We can do a lot of things, but first, it is always, when the chips are down, it is the woman that protects the male, because it is the nature of the female to nest. We are the ones who build nests. We're the ones who build fences. Our males must become who they are, males. And it is the woman who truly, mirrors the male. And so our women must begin. We must begin, we must begin to be Igbo women. Let's not become, we're not American women. Nesting, because it is when we realize and take our place, you will see all the glory of the strength of the man. But it is the place of the woman to nurture, to build, to actually mold the male. If we lose this, let me tell you, if we lose this, the female cannot really do much, because everybody, look at it now, that's how you conquer nations. How do you conquer nations? You first of all subjugate their male and take over their women. That is it. That's how you conquer people. And so our females must begin again. There are values, there are things that protect us. That is how we are strong. That is how we conquer. Remember, when you talk about, Igbo women and all that, it was our, ancestors. They were the purveyors of, that chased the colonialists out of Igbo land. They said, listen, we can, this double taxation, you are taxing our husbands twice. We can no longer do it. Yes. They did it when the men were coward. And history calls it about women riots. You tax our husbands in the farm, you tax them at home, enough of this. And they went on, it was the females that led that struggle. And who were they protecting? They were protecting their males. So where are Igbo women? We have strong Igbo women who are wealthy, but the thing is that they have been, the balkanization of our strength is just, they come and divide us. They say, listen, you are from Anambra, you are from Imo State. No, you are from, and when they balkanize us and defend us, and just divide us, we are no longer strong enough to speak with one voice. So one thing that we must begin to do, the Igbo woman must realize her Igbo-ness. In this so that our males can now stand at the boundaries, bend their chests, and be saying, listen, you cannot cross here, because there's somebody behind them giving them so much courage. That is number one. Secondly, we must begin to think home. You see, one thing that this platform must do, you must have one structure in Igbo land. Figure it out where you are going to have it. It is significant. It is symbolic. Let it be one structure that yields income, revenue for you. Be it a conference center built by UIU United. Be it something, but you must have one structure that, because eventually people will ask, what did you do? For you, for me and my group, we're doing something similar in Igbo. All right? This is August meeting. We have series of trainings in economics and contract lined up all over Igbo land for Igbo women. All right? And so I encourage UIU United to also have, just choose one land in Igbo land, build an elaborate conference center. Let it be on record that this is Igbo. And then from there, we also move on to other things like agriculture. The Igbos lost the Biafran War because we were not feeding ourselves. It was food. Remember the policy? They said, how do you feed your enemies? And yes, we lost it because of food. And today, it is still a huge problem in Igbo land. How many years, over 2 decades after the war, we still cannot feed ourselves. We are still dependent on food from the north. And when we even try to grow farms and all that, what happens? Cattle come. So there are a lot of in-house cleaning, trainings, strategies we must evolve that will help us, become stronger and better.
Thank you. So I am going to open up the floor to Luchi Main. Luchi is going to ask you a question, and Luchi is now unmuted. Luchi, please ask your question to Barrister Ozoma.
Hi, good morning or good evening over there. My name's Oluchi, and I want to briefly ask you, from a legal standpoint, what can be done? And here in the U.S., people protest to apply pressure to their leaders, to their community leaders and state leaders. Some people try to call in so that bills and laws can be passed. I know the dynamics are a bit different in Nigeria. So in what ways can Igbos specifically get legal remedies for what is going on right now? Is it lawsuits? How long does that take? Just what are the different legal solutions? Thank you.
Welcome. Well, so much can be done, all right? If there's no salvation in the law, there is no salvation. I'm a lawyer, 20 years and counting. There's no salvation in law because it is our politics that controls our law. Our politics controls our law. All right? So if you are not politically empowered, you cannot, have laws that support your cause. Our politics also pollute our justice system. Our politics pollutes our justice system. And so you cannot find salvation to these questions that are popping up from this UIU United. Let me tell you, these are existential questions. Yours is a generation that survived the post-Civil War. And yet you are paying for, the actions. You are still, everybody who looks at you as an Igbo person sees Ojukwu in you. Say, look at the descendant of the man who tried to break Nigeria. This is the descendant of the man who built an aircraft and an airport from nothing. This is the descendant of the man who built an Obunibo. So all you need to do to be a threat to the system is to be an Igbo name. Hello, that is all. And so when you go to the law, to the courts, to be, you can. There's no salvation there. Everybody looks at you. These are the sons of Ojukwu. They have come again. There's no salvation there. So what we must do is to insist. First of all, we must have a serious everything that you have to do to be empowered economically. That's why you see how people are spread all over. And then we must develop that economics, the fantastic things we do across the world, we must bring it home. Akurulo. We must, because we have the capacity to transform Ali Igbo into a Dubai, or better, let's make it work. You know, because when we go, when we go to courts, seek who will give you judgment as an Igbo man. Let me tell you. Ohaneze and Igbo filed a suit presently in court. They are challenging Mr. President, telling him that all the appointments he made, he excluded the Igbo man. Unprecedented. That matter is still in court. It's sub judice. But I can, you know, I can just close my eye and tell you what, you know, the courts will pronounce. So there's no salvation there, really. There's no salvation. What we must do, you know, the way you have gathered here, United is fantastic. You know, enlarge your membership deliberately, and then come back home and start doing specific, you know, there must be milestones. We did this, we did this. It will galvanize action also for people who are at home to start doing same. I rest.
Thank you. Our next question is going to be coming from, I'm sorry if you give me one moment, I'm here multitasking. It will be coming from Prince Ulocha. So Prince, if we can have Prince unmuted, please ask your question of Barrister Ozoma.
Hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. If you can speak a little bit louder, continue with your question, Prince.
Okay, good. Mine is not actually a question. Mine is to commend the woman, that the lady that I joined quite late. And I just want to add to what she's saying. She's really on point. Nigeria is a toxic place to be an Igbo man. Having grown up in Nigeria and lived in Nigeria till my adult age, I have first class information about the system. I was, you know, I'm an Igbo man, born in Lagos, schooled in the North. So if there's anything called a full Nigerian, you know, that understand the whole three major sectors, I think I am. Since moving to the US, I've been more of an Igbo man in the US, which is one of the reasons why I saw the Igbo platform as a good place to actually, you know, rediscover our roots and, you know, find a way to contribute to, you know, to making the Igbo man, you know, the Igbo nation come back to what it was. You know, of course, after losing the war, I think we're still on the throes of, you know, being losers on the war. We still have to come back together. She said something about the states and everything. Don't forget the states creation came out because of, they were trying to divide the Igbo nation. And that's right. It's a pity that of all the major tribes in Nigeria, it's only Igbos that carry states in their head. You understand me? You hear, you know, these are things that the state thing is nice, but I don't think we should really emphasize it because it divides us more. Let me give you an example. If you go on social media, and there's something anybody can check, and you're talking about, maybe some Igbo platform. I don't want to mention the name of a platform on Instagram, you know, and they celebrate Igbo person, you know, this is a doctor from, you know, Massachusetts and stuff, and you know, good and stuff. Then the next thing, that's an Igbo man or woman, fine. Next thing, she's from Imo State. All Imo State people say hi. Why are you disqualifying the other people from doing that? You understand? These are things I've noticed. While it might look very fun and it's very, very nice, trust me, but these are small things that divide us. Nobody, if you go into entertainment, nobody knows where Whiskey is from. Nobody knows where Davido is from. Nobody, but right. If you go on social media, you would hear put a flavor. People say no, it's 042. This one say no, it's Anambra. This one say. I'm just saying, things like that. They might be banters, they might be fun, but I'm telling you, things like that seek to divide us. We need to come back. Nigeria is a very toxic place to be an Igbo man. You can't, in fact, it's only in Nigeria you see somebody answering in Mecca, they'll tell you he's not an Igbo man. Why? Because the system does not allow you to express yourself. That's right. So, you know, that's basically what it is. This system, this Igbo platform is a good platform. One of the reasons why I joined is to at least get people in the diaspora to start to think, how do we support the system? Economically, we have to get there first. If you don't feed yourself, you can't emancipate yourself. So that's
Thank you,
basically
Prince.
contribution. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. To our moderators or those who are in charge of muting individuals, I do hear some feedback just so that we're aware so we can have people muted. So thank you, Prince, for your commentary. I will step in really quickly and say before I ask choose the next person for the question. Here at UIU Unite, again, we have many people who are in diaspora, including myself. I was born and raised in the United States. So when UIU Unite was created, it wasn't just for people who were back home and are living here in the US. We literally had many people who really didn't know where they came from. They just knew that they were Nigerian. They knew that they were Igbo. They knew that their parents spoke Igbo. So one of the things that we have charged our members with is going back again and knowing where you come from. And how do we do that? We ask them, where are you from? And they'll tell us, oh, I'm from Igbo state. I'm from Enugu. Well, I'm not sure what state I'm from this particular village. And then it adds to creating this bridge between those in diaspora and those who were born and raised back home, or those who actually are still live back home. So thank you so much. For our next question, I believe there was someone who sent me a private question, but I'm not able to find your question now. Leslie O, if we can have Leslie O unmuted and have Leslie O ask Barrister Ozoma your question.
Sure, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and I apologize for the noise in the background. So just give me 1 second here. Having some technical difficulties with my Zoom, so I apologize.
After Leslie, this will be the last, I have one more question for myself, and that will be the last question. Sorry, Leslie, continue.
I've lost him.
Leslie? Have we lost Leslie? All right.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, please ask
Okay.
your question quickly. We're pressed for time, Leslie.
Right, so there is a culture within, there's a subculture within Igbo culture of men abusing women under the guise of biblical submission. And so my question was, how do we attack that subculture, right? So, I mean, Igbo culture is patriarchal. The man is the head of the household, but a lot of men use that to incite forms of abuse. So it's not just like, you know, Fulani herdsmen or non-Igbo people who are raping our women, but it's also our uncles, our dads, our brothers, our cousins. And I just wanted to ask what people's thoughts were on that.
Yeah, all right. Well, that culture, you know, Igbos worship their wives. Quote, Igbos worship their wives. They take pride, you know, in the women. You know, an Igbo man, if you want to raise an Igbo man, you look at the woman he's married to. The Igbo man takes pride in dressing his wife. You know, the Igbo man takes pride. He'll give his wife the car, you know, to drive while he treks. It's common knowledge. If you come here in northern Nigeria, the northern girls want to marry, Igbo boy, Igbo boy. Why? Because traditionally, yes, I'm telling you, at the point I told them that, listen, you have to apply. I'm going to option these brothers. They take pride in their women. Because in Igbo land, remember, historically, our women, we have matriarchs. We have women who became goddesses in Igbo land. All right? So our history, you know, culture is that of respect for the woman. How strong the union is in Igbo land, or even today. But eventually, because of intercourse and interface with other cultures, the Igbo man learned disrespect. Ordinarily, womanhood is and worship in Igbo land. It was the West that brought the culture of disrespect. Remember what happened in the book of Geoffrey Chaucer, how he auctioned his wife for 4 guineas. The tradition of the Igbos is that, so, you know, these are things we need to relearn and remember. That is why we bear such names as Neka. Have you ever had anybody Igbo man in Igbo land asking Naka? It's always Neka. Mother is supreme. Nedima. Mother is good. Nobody answers Nadima. It's just, you know, a projection. So that's a culture of feminine violence. Yes. Why, you know, look at the names we answer. Why Buife? You know, these are some of the names that express our primordial sentiments towards the woman. Okay, but eventually we were polluted. We learned all that one from, you know, these are borrowed cultures, you know, but eventually we insist that
yes.
that renaissance, that's awakening, yes, that's, you know, the Igbo man respects his woman. That is why an Igbo man, you see an Igbo man married to 7 wives and everybody is happy. How does he do it? How? Everybody have their place, they are well provided for, and they are loved. So the culture of violence is actually an acquired threat. It's not an inherent tendency. And so what we're saying is that because it is a good thing, we'll go back to it. Okay?
All right.
Let's not be confused with Hollywood. Yes, I rest.
Thank you. So my final question for you, and if we can make this a quick one, very quick. We always talk about women in Nigeria in terms of rape, but we never talk about our men. We don't talk about our boys. So what are you seeing in your work? What are you seeing in terms of supporting? Are they able, what are you seeing in terms of making it a safe space for our men to come forward and report rape, not just our children, not just the male child, but also the adult male. It does happen, whether it is rape from women, whether it's rape from other men, whether it is rape via coercion. There's so many forms of rape when it comes to men. And I know that a lot of Nigeria is not quite open to that idea, including even here in the West. It's a contentious conversation. So what are you seeing in your work? What is being done to support our male rape victims?
Amaka, I did one matter. It's on the internet, you can Google it. A male that was raped for over 6 months.
Oh my God.
Yes, but it's a child. This boy was consistently raped by a policeman over 6 months. Well, the truth of the matter is we do not have structures that support the male, unfortunately.
Wow.
In Igbo land, you know that the male is expected to be omnipotent. The Igbo male is expected unconsciously to be omniscient. The Igbo male is expected to be, let me tell you, that is why in Igbo land, when you see women, families that do not have male child, they cry. Because the embodiment of the male in our Igbo culture is that of a God who brings salvation. And so nobody knows when this man is aching. Nobody knows when he's hurting. Nobody knows when. So there's no support, almost zero support for the Igbo man. And so you see him dropping out of school early to go and make money by all means necessary. There's no emotional support. There's no structural support. Everybody looks to the male. Bring home, you know, you have to come and build a house, rebuild your father's house, settle the male. So we have our Igbo sons extremely overburdened. But that's a conversation for another day. Don't even get me started on that.
Thank you. And to Barrister Ozoma, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure speaking with you. You are so incredibly knowledgeable. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us. You have shown us how so many of these topics that we're discussing today is all connected. Economics, and the politics of what is going on right now. And we see that women, if we're all paying attention and listening, we see that we are at the heart of this as well. Yes, we may have this idea and this feeling that we are thrown away in Igbo culture or in Nigeria, that we're not important, but you can see that in order to conquer Igbo land, we are at the heart of this and our women are under attack. So it gives us much to think about. And it shows that the time is now when it comes to action. So Barrister Ozoma, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with us and impart your knowledge.
Barrister, Dalu, thank you.
Dalu, my sister, Dalu. Dalu Rine.
She is. All right, I think we lost her. So our next speaker actually is a politician. He is an honorary member representing Owerri North State constituency in Imo State. This is Honorable Phillip Ejiogu. He is the Deputy Minority Leader of the Imo State Assembly. And I want to welcome him here to our platform.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Can you see me and hear me okay?
Yeah, sure, I can see you.
All right, thank you. I want to give you a very special thank you too for joining us so last second. I'm sure you have seen all our conversations that we've had so far. And so we will be asking you the more politically derived or focused questions, although everything has been connected. So before I start, as I mentioned before to the previous—
I just joined not too long ago though.
Yes, I heard. I will try to give you easy questions. I'm sure that we have many people that want to ask you questions in regards to politics in Nigeria as well. So before I start, one of the things that we we always ask people, because we have people in diaspora who were born and raised in the US, and we always ask people, where are you from in Igbo land? And as I've mentioned before, I am from Ogwa village, from Imbutoli local area government, Imo State. Ogwa. Listen, my Igbo, I'm trying. Correct, Ogwa. So I want to ask you, where are you from, sir?
I'm from Emekuku in Owerri North State constituency. Owerri North LGA.
Okay, very nice. Thank you so much. I am so glad to have you here, sir. Thank you. We have a lot to talk about, and let us get started. So, one of the things that actually has been mentioned earlier beforehand is just this political landscape that we see right now, right? You know, obviously we have Igbo representatives here in Igbo land that are supposedly representing us, but it would seem that they perhaps have other ties outside of Igbo land. What are we able to do to mitigate this? Because this is very problematic, and a lot of our people, a lot of our youth feel that they are not being well represented. They feel that other interests are involved in the back end, the back door. So what are we able to do to mitigate this? Can this be something that we can work on and fix?
Yeah, I think majorly all of that should start from the period of electioneering to make sure whoever we know is contesting for any elections, we make sure we put in people who have the best interests of our people at heart into political offices. Well, you know, I'm still in office, so there are certain things I'm not really going to go into details, talk about.
I understand.
But let me say, let me just make reference. I know I have one of my brothers whose father is also back here in Imo State and is in a government. But let me put this straight. In Imo State, in our state, you know, we elected someone in 2019, Honorable Ejiofor as governor. And just in January, we lost him from some court cases, and we brought in a new governor. And I came from the PDP party, which is the same party where Ejiofor also was elected. And the new governor is from the APC faction. And after he was inaugurated as governor, there was a bill that came to the House of Assembly, a bill that had to do with the grazing lands for herdsmen. And, you know, practically something we've been trying to make sure doesn't come into the Igbo race. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Saw that bill come into the House of Assembly, seeking for approval to give, some headsmen the authority to graze in our lands. And I, for one, stood against that bill because that is totally not what the Igbo man wants at this time. We've been talking about headsmen killing the Igbo race, even back in their places, killing the Igbos back in the northern states. And you have us here in Igbo land trying to give them authority to graze in our lands. And so, I mean, I for one stood heavily against that bill. And I sponsored a lot of other members to stand down that bill until we understand exactly what's going on. So most of the time, these things come from above. You understand what I'm saying? So certain people from the north could sponsor a certain candidate in Igbo land to put him in and have him work, for the interest of, or for their own interest. So I think major thing we should do, starting from 2022, 2023, is to make sure we should all stand firm, examine people coming out to run for political offices, examine them properly. What I mean examine, I mean look through their profiles, go through their history, know their antecedents, and ask questions, bring up debates, ask questions, and elect people we're very sure of, the people that are gonna, make sure they uphold whatever we want. I think that's the best way to start.
I would agree with you. Unfortunately, we have these instances where people suddenly are removed from their positions, even though they are elected fairly. So that seems to be something that we need to address at some point.
Right.
I have a question from Chuka Oji. If we can have Chuka unmuted, please, so that Chuka can address Honorable Ejiofor directly. Chuka, please ask your question.
Yes, hello, how are y'all doing? First of all, I want to say that I'm really happy that UIU is, doing.
Sorry, can you come again?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, come again, yeah.
No, I was just saying that I just want to thank UIU for having this conference. I'm really excited about it. I guess my question is, right now in Nigeria, first of all, I follow Nigerian politics and stuff pretty closely. Although I was born and raised in the US, my dad goes back. A lot of my uncles are still doing business over there. So I'm really close to what's happening on ground over there. I talk to my cousins a lot. And I'm hearing that we're having issues with, people coming into our villages, killing people, raping people. I'm seeing videos on WhatsApp that my cousins are sending me. I know that the southwest part of the country, they set up Omotekun, which is like their security outfit. I'm trying to figure out, why haven't we in the Southeast set up something similar? Why is it taking us so long, right? So that's one question I have. And then the next question I have is more about Nigeria in general, right? It's 2020. In a few years, we're going to be approaching the 2023 elections. It's the South's turn, which means that it should be our turn, since we haven't gotten presidency in the last 50 ever. Actually, we've never have. To say that Nnamdi Azikiwe was president is a joke, because he had no power. The real power was in the prime minister. So we've actually never led the country, ever. So what will happen? But then on the flip side, Igbos aren't really liked in Nigeria. So it's like we're advocating for a presidency, but who's actually going to elect Igbos? So what are we prepared to do if we don't get presidency, which is a real probability? Or what are we prepared to do if the country's not reconstructed? We can talk about going home and investing and doing all of these kind of things, but we don't have any ports. A lot of the federal roads are bad. Budgets are small. So, that's kind of my question, right? So what are we going to do about the security outfit in the Southeast? Because that needs to be set up really fast. And what are we prepared to do if if Nigeria isn't reconstructed or if we don't get presidency, is there any kind of plan that you guys have in place to fix that? So that's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Loaded question, someone said. Well, actually, about the security system, I would say the primary reason why we haven't set up our own Ometeku kind of security system is basically interest. You know, I would say basically interest, because I won't really want to scare you guys out there in diaspora, but there's a lot going on here in the political system here. There's a lot going on.
There is.
There's a lot that you don't even have to know. Let me just put it that way. There's a lot that you don't even have to know, but there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of interest back here. A lot of people holding political offices back in the Southeast are being backed up by people in the North. So they will always, always represent the interests of the Northerners. That is a big problem. That is a big problem that we have in the Southeast. And then again, when the Northerners tell us, the Igbo race, that we're not ready to take over leadership, because they know how much a lot of the Igbo people are being tied. Maybe let me say our destinies, our political destinies are being tied to their hands. So they look at all. So that is the major reason why we have not really come together as a group, the whole of the Southeast, the Imo State, Abia State, Enugu, Ebonyi, coming together to say, okay, this is time we have to set up our own security system. Because you have the IPOB today, and you have other Igbo people kicking against IPOB. You have the Masob, you have other people kicking against the Masob. So it's just a whole lot of thing going on. So that's the major reason why that's not coming up anytime soon. And secondly, your question about the Southeast taking over presidency in 2023. I wouldn't want to sound selfish here though, but I'm still a member of the People Democratic Party, PDP, in Nigeria. And at the moment, PDP is zoning the presidency to the North, unfortunately. APC is zoning to the South. But as I speak to you today, there's a lot also going on. I mean, you guys hear stories about what's going on. Ejiofor going into prison and coming out, and the EFCC going after Rochas Okorocha. All the Igbo people that are trying, they're bringing up interest to try to run for presidency. Is either they're going into jail or EFCC is going after them or something. So there's a lot going on about that as well. So I don't even see any Igbo man becoming president in 2023. That is the sad truth. I know you guys have a lot of hopes back there.
We do.
Yeah, but
we are hopeful.
You guys are hopeful back there, but if I don't tell you the truth, nobody's gonna do that. But I have to tell you that an Igbo man becoming president of Nigeria in 2023, I don't know how realistic that's going to be, because coming from the PDP, that's not going to work, because it's not zoned to the South, it's zoned to the North. And from the APC, there's a whole lot of disarrangement going on there. So that's what I can say for now. If something turns out, I'll probably contact Amaka to say
yes,
something
please.
else could happen. But for now.
So I have a follow-up question. Before we unmute Chinwe Ndisike to ask her question, my follow-up question to you would be, does this look like what you're saying now, this, this attack, I would say, on these Igbo leaders by EFCC and whatnot, and these probes that are happening, is this looking like it's being done on purpose to prevent future presidential runs? Now, granted, some of these people that are being attacked were not necessarily people that had Igbo's interests at heart. So, having said that, and having known that, is this still something that's being done systematically? Like, does this look like that this is being done to prevent an Igbo president in 2023?
So everything done in the political space is well planned, is well structured. whatever you see that comes out, whatever you see that plays out in the political system is well being thought of and structured and executed. So whatever you're seeing right now is a script that is, has been written a long time and it's just played out.
Thank you.
It's a deliberate action.
Thank you. So our next question is from Chinwe. Chinwe, please ask your question of Honorable Phillip. And Chinwe, are you there? Can you hear?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Ask your
Okay.
question, please.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Phillip, for your time. Thank you for coming to speak with us and for, just being plain and honest and truthful about what is going on with the political situation in Nigeria. I have a very, very simple question, and my question is, what initiatives have you personally brought up, or what have you personally done for the Igbo people or for your constituency? What, regardless of how big or small, like what have you currently accomplished so far, with your role?
So I got elected last year. I was sworn in last year about the 13th of July 2019, and the first thing I did was to push a bill for pensions reform, to reform the pension system in Imo State, because that was one of the campaign promises I had for my people, to make sure we're going to change the pension system in my state. So I pushed for that bill, and by the grace of God, it was passed, and the governor assented to the bill, and there was a reformation of pension system in Imo State. Pensioners were asked to go back, and there was a proper validation, verification of pensioners in Imo State. And 2-3 months after the whole exercise, pensions started going directly into pensioners' accounts. That was one thing I was able to, get through immediately I got into office, and that was my major number one goal to achieve, which that I did. Secondly, I tried to also move bills that had to do with the VAP bills. Unfortunately, we're still on it. The VAP bills is the violence against people's bill, violence against women, sexual violence, and all of that. And right now we're still in the committee stage, and we're hoping to have it passed once we resume, because right now we're on recess. So once we resume, I'm sure we're going to have the bill being passed into law. And then again, during the COVID-19 era, I tried to, roll out palliatives to people, and I'm also engaging in a lot of projects that has to do with SDG goals, MDG goals, building up schools and toilets and marketplaces and all of that. Basically, that's a few things I've been able to achieve.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question about your VAP bill. And this is actually a question that I wanted to ask Barrister Ozoma, but we were limited for time. So your VAP bill, as you know, here in the US, we have different systems in place where we are able to track offenders. Is there anything included in this bill where we can possibly attempt to be able to track offenders? So those that abuse women and children, there's a registry so that, they can't just move all over Nigeria and reform, create a new identity and go back to the same horrible behavior that they were doing beforehand if they are convicted. Is there anything like that in your bill? Is there anything that's in that is being discussed regarding that?
Yeah, having tax force and all of that in place are all in the bill. And then again, we don't have social security numbers here in Nigeria where you can get people all over. But we know how to get people when we're looking for people, so it's not a problem. It's really not a problem. But a lot of other things are being all impacted in the bill where tracking offenders will be very easy, and having them serve whatever punishment they have to do they're all in place on the bill. Okay.
We have a question that was asked previously, and I decided to reserve this for you. This is from Dr. Nene Azu. So her question is, what will we do about this Fulani herdsman problem? I know you've already touched on this, but what will we do about this issue with the Fulani herdsmen, as well as the religious persecution, when especially when Nigerian government is not taking care of the problem adequately? What can we do on our end, on the local end? What can we demand of our leaders?
Well, we have to stand strong and kick against this whole, this whole vice. We have to stand strong, which we're trying to do. The last speaker, I overheard her saying, everything is political. I think she said something like that. You have to treat things politically. You need the political power to do a lot of things. We're doing our best to try to use, our positions to do the best that we can for our people. I, for one, I will rather resign or die than to see anything that will put the lives of our people in danger go through. Never.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat that again?
I said I'd rather resign or I die than to see any law being passed that is going to jeopardize the lives of our people. So that is one way. I know there are other lawmakers that also have my kind of passion to save lives and protect lives, and in my state, at least to start with. So if we all get to that level to stand against things like this, I think we'll probably be making a headway.
Okay. Thank you. Give me one moment. I'm sorry, I am multitasking here. If we could please unmute Oluchi. Oluchi has a question for you, and we're going to have her ask you directly. Again, please unmute Oluchi.
Hi, thank you so much for the time. I think a lot of the reasons why you're getting questions about the herdsmen is because it's an issue. One thing that you had said was that something about like us not really needing to know all the details. But that's the reason why we're here, really. We're here to really learn, we're here to grow, and we're here to find out, right? Because you can't ask for, in general, stuff from the diaspora and then tell them to close their eyes about the details. You understand? So if you want people to be engaged, you don't just stop where people go. So the question is this: what specifically is in your hands right now dealing with this Fulani issue? And it's so important because people are dying. Land is being taken. It's not it's not a conditional situation. It's existing and it has already happened. So what currently is happening within Igbo State House Assembly, within Owerri? What is happening in the State House? What bill is being passed? What measures are being discussed? What is being discussed directly to address this Fulani herdsman aggression? Please answer that question. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Oluchi. Well, I'm not trying to get you guys scared or anything about this whole thing, but in the House of Assembly, we have invited the service chiefs and security agents, the heads of security agencies in Imo State, the military, the Navy, the Commissioner of Police, and all of them. We all assembled them and we spoke to them, telling them, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that get the hits from the people directly. And we asked that they should make sure that the lives of our people are being secured. Now, about the Fulani people being around in Imo State is something that is already happening. For once, in my community, there's a waterside where we have some Fulani people camping there at the moment. And once or twice, people come up and say they saw one or two Fulani men with guns, with AK-47 guns. And I wonder how people are going to be carrying guns and rearing cattle. So, I went to have an interface with them, and I asked if they were armed, which they obliged and said, yeah, they were armed. One or two people were armed just for security. And I called in the Commissioner of Police. I'm like, I need these people to be disarmed immediately, which that was done. They were disarmed. And I'm sure every other House of Assembly member is doing the same thing in his or her constituency. Next thing we're going to do is to have all the Fulani people being moved to a certain point where they have to stay and do whatever they have to do, and then have the security people round them up and safeguard them. That is the best we can do right now.
This doesn't look like we're actually, I mean, wouldn't this send a message that what they're doing is permissible, that what they're doing is okay, that they are able to do so and get even protection for themselves when they actually are originally like really the aggressors? Wouldn't this be sending the wrong message?
No, well, the truth is most of these cattle rearers actually move around the whole country. That is certain. And then we also buy cows and all of that from them. And at the time when this whole awareness got on, they already penetrated a lot of villages already. So what we're trying to do is carefully move them out of these communities and get them together. These guys can be very violent. You can't move them by force, but we're carefully doing that to avoid problems. And most of the communities in my own constituency, I made sure that every community starts up a vigilante system. We're not going to wait till when we're going to have a general Southeast vigilante system. At least every village should start up a vigilante system.
Thank you.
The youth are already aware of this problem. So they're all sitting up to make sure that every village, anytime from 6 o'clock, the youths pair themselves and come out and try to, safeguard the village up until when the government will be ready. We're working on that seriously. We're seriously working on that to make sure we carefully and quietly move these people all out from various communities and get them all together. You can't do that by force. You really can't do that by force.
I understand. So we literally have to play politics and pretend to be nice, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, because you see, there's we've seen these people explode in a lot of places. We see them explode in Benue, come up overnight, shoot people, kill people up and down. We don't have the same reasoning like these people. So, we have to make sure we, bring up a certain tactics to save the situation.
I understand.
I know you guys don't want to hear this, though.
We don't.
This is honest. This is the honest truth. This is the honest truth right here.
No, I understand what you're saying. This is literally a game of chess that we need to play well while we are developing our land, because we are quite literally being surrounded. Honorable Ejiogu, thank you so much for joining us. Such a last minute request. Thank you for giving us your information. It's so, we don't often get a chance to speak directly to a politician from back home. So it's very helpful to be able to ask you questions and have an understanding of what is happening and what the political landscape is looking like back home. So thank you again. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. We really appreciate it, your time.
Thank you very much.
Phillip Jallo, thank you.
Thank you to all of our viewers for participating and asking all of your questions. Thank you to those on Facebook and all of you around the world. Thank you so much for joining us and supporting us in this initiative to plug in with those who are back home. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be your moderator today.
Amaka, thank you so much, moderators. So much, you set it up. Amaka, you didn't disappoint us, so.